Yoshio is a man who has been a NEET for 10 years. One day, he suddenly becomes the god of fate and ends up saving a group of villagers. In return, he gets saved too. A month ago, while Yoshio was having lunch, his mother asked him if he had found a job yet. She reminds him that his father can't keep working forever. She says they're okay for now, but asks what he plans to do once they're gone. Yoshio mumbles that he understands and calls her annoying. He thinks she's starting again, even though it's rare this early in the day. His mom scolds him like always, saying he keeps claiming to understand, but nothing ever changes. Frustrated, Yoshio stands up and snaps that he's lost his appetite. Deep down, he feels pathetic for saying that. Life still feels dull. Just another empty day, another half-eaten meal. As he walks out of the kitchen, his thoughts drift to the past, to when things didn't feel so empty. 10 years ago, Yoshio's life wasn't great, but it was okay. He had graduated from high school and got into a regular university. Nothing fancy. He didn't study much, but he got by. Until then, he thought things were going fine. But once he started job hunting, it all started falling apart. He failed at landing any good job while his friends secured solid positions. He had nothing to say when they asked how he was doing. 1 year passed, then 2, and before he knew it, 10. Back in the present, his mom mentions that their neighbor Masatsuga already has a great job, and even an adorable child. Yoshio doesn't respond. He doesn't need to. He already knows. Most of his classmates are working now, and have their own families. Later, while Yoshio is climbing the stairs, lost in thought, the doorbell rings. A delivery boy stands at the door holding a package. Spotting the logo on the box, Yoshio asks him to wait a second. It's rare for him to answer the door, so even his mom peeks out, surprised. She asks if he's buying things arbitrarily, even though he doesn't have any money. Yoshio quickly says it's probably a prize. The truth is, Yoshio has made it a habit to join every free giveaway he can find online. It's his small escape from the guilt of being unemployed for so long. Now and then he gets lucky. Though not all the prizes are things he wants his parents to see, he usually checks the parcel before anyone notices. As he opens the door, the delivery guy looks a bit startled when their eyes meet. It's not surprising, seeing a grown man at home in the middle of a weekday. Looking the way Yoshio does can throw anyone off. Even the neighbors have stopped hiding their judgmental looks. Yoshio is used to it by now. After signing the receipt, he checks the package. It's small. His mom, still watching, raises an eyebrow and mutters that it doesn't look like food, then walks away. Later that day, Yoshio opens the box and finds a PC game titled The Village of Fate. It looks like some kind of pre-release version. He isn't sure at first, but the letter inside clears things up. It congratulates him. He's been chosen as an alpha tester for the Village of Fate. According to the note, the game uses the latest AI technology and is the first of its kind to feature NPCs that can think and act like real people. It sounds like marketing fluff, but it catches his interest. As Yoshio keeps reading, the game's concept starts to make sense. He'll be playing as a god, guiding a group of villagers, using fate to protect them and help them grow. Everything else will be explained through gameplay. But there's a condition: no sharing anything online. If he breaks that rule, he'll lose access to the game permanently. Yoshio wonders how they'd even know, but since he has nothing going on anyway, he figures, why not? It's not like he has anything to lose. There are 2 more rules. He must stay connected to the internet while playing, and if all the villagers die, the game is over. No second chances. That part bugs him. Even as a tester, he's not allowed to let the villagers die. The developers must be pretty confident about the game's balance. But then, what exactly is he supposed to be testing? It feels a little shady. Still unsure, Yoshio looks up the game online. That's not against the rules. There isn't much info, but it doesn't seem dangerous. The game doesn't need a powerful PC, so he figures he can try it on his old desktop. It could be a prank, or worse, a virus. But honestly, what does it matter? He's already wasting his days doing nothing. If this turns out to be a scam, at least it'll break the routine. With that, he pops in the disk. The screen lights up with the title, The Village of Fate. He hits enter. The moment the game starts, Yoshio's eyes widen. The graphics are unbelievable. He has never seen anything like it. The game doesn't waste time. Chaos has already broken out. Wild boars charge in, ridden by green goblins swinging heavy weapons. Inside the wooden cart, a terrified family holds together, clinging tightly to one another. Yoshio is frozen, watching it all unfold. The action pulls him in completely. On the screen, a girl is holding a sacred book and whispers in fear, God of Fate. Just then, Yoshio spots a goblin about to strike the horse pulling the cart. "It's going for the horse!" he blurts out instinctively. Right then, the cart rider swings his weapon and lands a blow on the goblin. Another beast comes rushing from the left, but before it can reach, a flash of light from that book bursts into view, stopping it in its tracks. The villagers are safe, at least for now. Yoshio blinks, unsure of what just happened. That flash must have been part of the intro cutscene. Curious, he clicks on the man who was riding the cart. A character bio pops up. The man's name is Gams, a 26-year-old swordsman. It turns out he's also the older brother of a priestess named Chem. As the scene shifts, a calm, soft-spoken girl appears. She has a peaceful, religious presence, and Yoshio studies her closely. Doesn't look like her brother, he thinks. The screen introduces her as Chem, age 19, priestess of the god of fate, and Gam's younger sister. Click by click, Yoshio explores more of the game, still amazed by its quality. No way a Japanese dev made this, he mutters. The budget must be insane. He keeps scanning the environment, completely pulled in. And he wonders how hasn't this leaked online. He decides to brush off the doubts for now and checks the other character bios. Carol, a 7-year-old girl. Her father, Rodis, 33, used to run a general store. Then there's Lyra, 30, Rodis's wife, serious, sharp-eyed, and the one who runs the household. From what he can tell, Gams and Chem form one group. The other 3 seem to be a family. Probably the 5 main characters. As the villagers gather near the cart and begin chatting casually, Yoshio leans back to figure out the controls. Just watching is fun, like peeking into a world that doesn't know he's there. But he knows he needs to start playing for real. His fingers tap at the keyboard. His eyes scan the screen. Remembering the sheet has written something about a divine prophecy. Another window pops up, some kind of message. He observes it's mostly dialogue. He guesses full voice acting is a bit much for a beta. Still, he leans in closer, interested. The next scene hits differently. Gams, exhausted, is kneeling on the ground. He looks broken. The weight of failure hangs heavy on his shoulders. He says he was supposed to guard the village, but they barely escaped. Then, Rodis steps forward. Even after everything, his voice remains calm. He tells Gams they're alive because of him. That if he hadn't fought the way he did, none of them would have made it. Then, Carol curiously asks what that flash was while calling Gams big brother. Chem jumps in and tells Carol that Gams is her big brother. She also reminds Carol that she told her time and time again to not call Gams her brother. Yoshio, watching them, thinks that Chem has a real brother complex going on, as Gams' sister is a bit too into him. Observing that, Yoshio feels Gams is the main character. Gams tells Chem to be nice with Carol, as she is just a kid. Chem apologizes to her brother and Carol laughs at Chem. Yoshio thinks the characters are really good, and hopes that this game might be good. Back in the game world, Lyra, always no nonsense, snaps at the children to stop fooling around and pay attention. She says they need to figure out what the light was. Her tone is serious now. This isn't something they can just brush aside. Chem raises her book with both hands, and says that she scarcely believes that the light came from her book of scripture. Yoshio hears a soft beep from his PC. A new message appears on the screen. It explains that while he can't control the villagers directly, he can guide them through something called a divine prophecy. Once a day, he'll be able to write a message in Chem's scripture. That will be his voice in their world. He blinks at the screen, surprised. He expected maybe some dialogue options or preset choices. But no, he has to type it out himself. He pauses, hands hovering over the keyboard. He didn't overthink it, and used single words and simple sentences. He wonders if even this AI understands 1/10 of the prophecy he wrote. He types his message carefully. When he's done, he hits enter. In the game, the book glows faintly in Chem's hand. She opens the book curiously, and says heaven as soon as her eyes fall on it. With tears in her eyes, she says it's a genuine miracle. She thanks the god of fate and, kneeling down, shows the book to others. She tells them the god of fate has revealed his will through her book. Gams is stunned by it, and Rodis calls it a true miracle. Lara says that she and Carol can't read the message. Gam says he can read, but God's words are beyond him, and he requests Chem to read the prophecy for all. Chem tells them to listen carefully and starts to read the divine prophecy. In the prophecy Yoshio has written, he is pleased that the villagers were able to escape the monsters through his miracle, and he shall grant one prophecy every day. He has told them to keep his commandments, and they will prosper. He commands them to gather timber and build a shelter. Back in reality, Yoshio is more than amazed watching the villagers' reaction to his prophecy. In the game, Lara says thanks to the god of fate for calling for saving them. Rodis is also thankful to the god for his concern towards them, and for his daily guidance from the bottom of his heart. Yoshio watches in surprise as the characters understand his prophecy, even with all the old-fashioned thee and thou talk he used. He mutters, this AI is decades ahead of its time. Then, watching them discuss his prophecy like real people, he adds if they can really understand and respond to what he wrote. This game is insane. But a doubt pops into Yoshio's mind. If it's just a coincidence that his prophecy just happened to align with a behavior pattern the developers have programmed in the game. Yoshio looks closely at the screen, trying to understand the game. In the game, Chem reminds others that the god of fate told them to gather wood to build shelter, so they should divide up the work and begin to chop down trees. Rodis points out that there is a problem. While the forest has a lot of trees, they can't use freshly felled trees for lumber. He mentions that fresh logs won't work well. They'd need to cut them into planks, and the planks also take time to dry. Chem was surprised to hear that. In reality, Yoshio blinks at the screen, surprised, as in such games, they can build straight away if they get wood. Rodis explains that live trees have a lot of water, and if it is used without drying, the things they will make from it will have structural problems later. Chem says to Rodis that it is clear that she has much to learn. Rodis says a god's thoughts are beyond human grasp, and encourages them to follow his command. They decided to start gathering wood, as they would need the wood later. In his heart, Yoshio thanks Rodis. This part right here reminded me of Overlord. Anyways, back to the story. Rodis and Gams left to chop wood. Ladies go off to look for food or scout the surrounding land. Yoshio uses a mouse to zoom out and look at the villagers' surroundings. He sees a thin path on the map, which is the route the villagers took while escaping in their cart. It feels like a fog of war setup, where Yoshio can only see places on a map that are seen by the characters. He starts thinking about how time works in this game. He then realizes the game is played out in real time. It means he can make one prophecy a day. Yoshio can't believe it, and expects there might be more to it. As he thinks, what type of game is it, if a player can play for only a few seconds a day? But suddenly, the screen shows another tutorial. It explains there is another way to interact with the villagers. It is by spending something called fate points, through which he can perform miracles. A brief explanation follows. The more the villagers praise their god, the more fate points he'll earn. He glances up to the top right corner of the screen. He has 100 fate points in total. The fate point total grows with villagers' gratitude, so naturally, the more villagers Yoshio has, the more points he will earn. It is also mentioned in the tutorial that helpful prophecies that benefit the villagers will make them more grateful, earning him more fate points. Yoshio gets the basic idea that his fate depends on how good his prophecies are. The tutorial suggests he grow the village and attract more worshippers to get more fate points to do miracles. He opens the miracle list. Some options are simple. Spawn a traveling hunter, spawn a traveling merchant, spawn a traveling physician, and reunite the villagers. Literally, he can control their destinies, as he is the god of fate after all. He can also change the weather to clear skies, bring rainfall, summon thunder, or even unleash a blizzard, which is a miraculous ability to have. Either way, he doesn't have many fate points to spare. He can't waste the fate points on a bad miracle, and he decides to eavesdrop to get an idea first about it. Meanwhile, in the game village, Rodis says to Gams they're lucky to have the god of fate's protection and blessings. Gams says yes, no doubt. Rodis says at least the weather is nice, and adds that he and Chem look very close, while only getting one-word answers. Back in his room, Yoshio is watching Gams and wonders, what's his problem? Rodis is really trying hard to have a conversation with him, but he's not giving him anything to work with. Watching the men fumble, he thinks they are not of much help. He clicks around. Maybe the ladies will be more helpful, he says. In the game, Lyra, Carol, and Chem were sitting on the ground in the forest. Chem asks Lyra, how much food does she have? Lyra responds, they have picked up 3 boxes out of the shop somehow, and if they stretch it out, they can make it last 2 weeks. Chem hopes they can find a stable food source before their food runs out. Yoshio gets that the villagers need a food source. He thinks he should use a miracle to bring a merchant, as they may buy from him. Yoshio wonders if they can get food on their own, like foraging or fishing or something, or if they can eat out in nature. Though he needs to look around the area first for that. He says himself he should send Gams to explore to fill the map, but he is the only one who can fight, and he also should stay close to the camp. He knows it's a game and thinks of sending Carol, as she is not crucial in the game. Moments later, Carol brings a mushroom, but her mom rushes in, warning her. Those are poisonous, and orders her to drop it. Yoshio leans back in his chair and says, game or not, he would feel pretty bad if he screwed up and got all the villagers killed. He thinks maybe another miracle would help. He finds an option on the menu, summon familiar. Just like a wizard, he says. He thinks that if he has an animal familiar, he could explore the whole map. Then he sees there are more than 50 familiars to choose from. He scrolls through the list. Birds, cats, dogs, unicorns. Even slimes. What don't they have? He thinks of going with the bird, then he can fly to explore the map. However, all familiars are too expensive for him to buy, and he says frankly he is not made of fate points. A cat or dog would be the standard familiar, he mutters, but even they are expensive. He can buy a tiny chick. It's the only familiar he can afford. Maybe it can lay eggs for villagers once it grows up, he thinks, but it's useless for scouting or exploring. He wonders if there is a faster way to earn fate points than just waiting for praise. And then the pay for points system. Yoshio blinks. Another pops up. There is another way to boost your fate point total. Fate points can be purchased at a rate of 1,000 yen per 10 points. He stares stunned. Are you kidding me? Sure, cash shops aren't new, but still, putting this kind of system in an alpha test is ridiculous. Right now, he can only afford the chick. I get you. We have early access with microtransactions, and I hate it with all my heart. Anyway, he starts doing math in his head. If he spent 20,000 yen, maybe he could at least get a cat or a small dog. If he had more fate points, he could really help these villagers, he says. Panic hits. He opens a drawer and starts digging through it, scattering papers everywhere. He grabs his account book and checks his balances. He stares. Just a little over 10,000 yen left, he says. Yoshio leans back, thinking. He has a bunch of books and games he is not using. He tells himself he could sell those. Plus, there are a few giveaway prizes he never opened. He could put those up for auction. Night falls. He wonders what he should do. Back in the game, inside a horse-drawn cart at night, the villagers are already off to bed, while Yoshio, watching the screen, says, "It's only 9 o'clock." Carol bids Grams good night, calling him Big Brother again. Kim, annoyed, tells her brother to rest well, and outside the cart, Gams watches. However, Rodis requests him to rest too, though Gams says he can't, as someone needs to watch over in case monsters show up. Rodis will be fine, he says, questioning him if he didn't see the same miracle as them. Rodis speaks gently to Gams. The god of fate is watching over them, reminding them. The god of fate even gave them a prophecy. He questions, what more proof does he need? And says the god of fate won't let any monsters come near them. Gams responds that he wants to believe that. In reality, Yoshio feels sorry for Rodis, as it's more than he can manage to protect them. Yoshio stares at the screen with a grim look. His mind races with worry. He thinks that at this rate the villagers will start thinking he can keep them safe regardless of what happens. For a moment, he thought of telling them the truth that crosses his mind, that he's not omnipotent for their sakes. But if he does so, they might stop praising him. If he can't get more fate points, everybody loses. Back at his computer, Yoshio types how to make lumber into the search bar, hoping for useful advice. He starts thinking how long it's been since he researched anything. He admits to himself that he mostly watches videos in the last 10 years. He remembers, occasionally, taking breaks to talk shit on message boards, and he thinks that time he will never get back. A wave of guilt sweeps over him. If back then he'd spent his time better, maybe he could have actually helped these villagers now. Plus, Yoshio thinks if he had a job, he'd probably have savings. He could spend money on more fate points. He looks at the characters on the screen. All the villagers are working hard. The thought gnaws at him. Someone with real work experience would know how to make life easier for them. He mutters to himself, "Come on, Yoshio. Games are supposed to be fun." Well, my dude, dwelling on the past will not do you good. Back to the story, he feels pain near his abdomen, looks down at a scar on his stomach, and winces slightly. Must be getting cold. His scar's acting up again, he mumbles. Another thing to add to the list of his regrets. Suddenly, a memory flashes through Yoshio's mind. A creepy man stands over him, with Yoshio full of anger. He shouted a warning, telling him to stay away from his sister, Sayuki. His posture is threatening, and he demands a promise, swearing to leave her alone. That man starts to say something else, but then another voice interrupts. Sayuki shouts his name, Yoshio. That man had already stabbed Yoshio in the abdomen, and tried to threaten him by holding a knife, pointing it sharply. Yoshio remembers the fear in his eyes, the silent wish that things would stop. He has fallen to the ground, begging for help. His voice trembles in desperation. Next to him, Sayuki's shocked face lingers in his memory. That when it happened, he left something important behind, and ran away, he thinks. Ever since then, nothing has gone right, no matter how hard he has tried. The memory fades, and the story returns to present Yoshio's tired face. Forget it, he thinks firmly. Not like there's anything he can do about it now. That's all in the past. Right now, he just wants to lose himself in this game. The next day, Yoshio wakes up in bed, surprised to see that morning has already arrived. He realizes that he must have fallen asleep while researching lumber the night before. He hadn't even noticed when he dozed off. He checks the time and blinks in disbelief. It's early, much earlier than usual. He can't even remember the last time he got up at this hour. When he looks at the game screen, he sees that the villagers are already awake and busy with their work. His guess was right. The villagers in this game live and work in real time. He starts wondering what kind of prophecy he should send to the villagers today. He wants to eat something as he realizes he skipped dinner last night, too caught up in the game. He probably ate through all his snacks without noticing. He starts stepping down to see what they got in the fridge. Before he enters the kitchen, he hears his family at the breakfast table from outside the door. He hears his mom gently remind his sister not to overwork herself. Sayuki nods, saying she knows, adding that she'll probably be working late again tonight. Inside, Yoshio reflects after the incident with Sayuki and fighting with Dad about work, they didn't have a single conversation. He imagines going in there and asks if he can sit with the family for breakfast. He gives a quick smile and returns the greeting, saying good morning politely. Back to reality, Yoshio hears them silently. All his family is getting ready for another hard day of work. He can't bring himself to appear in front of them without even having a job. He comes back to the room to exercise. Ever since the incident with Sayuki, he's been trying to keep in shape. He thinks he was weak, so he ran away, and now he is trying to run away from that weakness. Back on the game screen, Carol carries some heavy stuff and Lyra says to her, "Are you sure?" Carol replies, saying she is fine. Carol tells her dad she wants to help too. However, Rada shows concern and reminds her to tell her father right away if it gets too heavy, and she happily agrees. Yoshio watches the scene and thinks about his own life. He isn't even living half the life these NPCs are living. Sitting back at his computer, Yoshio thinks the villagers have started to expect too much from their weak god. He thinks they better lower their expectations now. In the game, Kem calls everyone to gather, announcing that the god of fate has sent his prophecy. She began reading it out loud. "My devoted followers, it is my greatest commandment that you work together with one another to survive, as in truth he has lost most of his power. For now, all he can do is watch over them and provide modest miracles," closing the prophecy with blessings to the villagers. After the message, Yoshio thinks, what's the silence? Now the villagers know their god of fate is a fraud and a loser. He regrets that he didn't use a better excuse. Kem asks others if it isn't wonderful that the god of fate is watching over them. Yoshio is confused about her statement. In the game, Rodis says the god of fate has given them his blessings, and it's amazing. He also says the god must have lost power in a holy fight against the corrupted gods. Rodis also adds that they must fight for themselves, as the god of fate fought for them. Yoshio says that's a pretty generous interpretation. He notices that his fate points have increased to 110. The prophecies he sends have an impact on his fate points. If this keeps up, he might be able to pull off a decent miracle once a week. He thinks that's not going to make things easier for the villagers. He remembers the lady's conversation in the game, like Kem's wish to sleep in a room again, putting walls between them, and monsters like a fence around the cart. Lyra says they can't build a fence without using the logs for the house. They are fine on food, but running low on spices to make their meals better. Yoshio thinks he could wipe away some of the villagers' worries with a few more fate points, but currently, it will be just a waste of precious points. Yoshio realizes he needs to get more fate points somehow. He thinks about buying them. He thinks about selling the unopened giveaway prizes that he had for auction. That could bring him 20 or 30,000 yen. He looks to see if he can sell anything else. He realized he could sell it to second-hand shops to get the money really quickly. He says there's only one problem. It's been over 2 years since he's gone out into the sunlight. He glances at the computer screen, and he says to himself, if the villagers die, he won't be able to play this game anymore, and he can't let that happen. With the motivation, he wears the shirt. He realized it feels tighter, though he hasn't gotten any fatter. He never imagined turning 30 would look like this. He says, on second thought, it is better not to rush things, and maybe he will feel up to going tomorrow. Yoshio sits in front of his computer again. On the screen, Carol, carrying too much wood, falls on the ground, sticks scattered all around. Tears well up in her eyes as she sniffles quietly. Watching her, Yoshio feels shocked and deeply concerned. After a moment, she begins picking up the sticks again. She wipes her tears and stands again. Even though she's struggling, she looks determined to finish the task. The scene shifts to Gams and Rodis working together, trying to move a huge log, then to Lyra breathing heavily, showing the villagers' hardships. Seeing all this, Yoshio tells himself that today is a new day, and if the villagers can fight for themselves, so can he. Yoshio is about to go outside. His mom at home asks if he is going somewhere, as it's rare for him to go outside. He responds by saying that he's just stepping out for a bit. It's not like him to leave the house often. She responds with a short "oh" and tells him to take care. Soon, Yoshio is riding a bicycle down the street. 2 people stand in a doorway, observing him quietly. As he rides, negative thoughts crowd his mind. They are laughing at me. They all hate me for not having a job. He tries to ignore them. He remembers the villagers and continues pedaling through the town. Eventually, he reaches a store called Book On, a store that sells books, DVDs, and games. Inside, he looks through stacks of books and speaks briefly with a store clerk. Then he looks around, thinking there probably aren't any guides on how to build a village from scratch. He begins browsing manga, and he says that most of them are stories where ordinary people from the modern world are taken into fantasy worlds, where their modern-day knowledge earns them respect. His situation feels different from those, but he thinks it could be worth combining ideas. Still, he knows he can't afford to drop an extra 100 yen for the books. Later, on his way back, he mentally says goodbye to his money, and his eyes fall on a shop window. There's a cake on display, priced at 420 yen. It reminds him of the past. His family used to visit this shop often. On weekends, they would walk around the area together, stopping for sweets or snacks. As soon as he enters the shop, his memories start flooding, his younger self begging his dad to buy a slice of cake. Yoshio stops and stares at the cake for a moment. He buys 4 puddings and wonders if it is a waste of cash. He thanks the store and leaves for home. At home, he says he is back and gives the pudding to his mom, mentioning that he brought pudding. She thanks him, and he mentions there is enough for everyone. As he comes back to his room, he blushes, though he tells himself not to be satisfied about early, as it's time to grow up. Back in the game, he has 20,000 yen worth of fate points, and the villagers are gathered around a fire. Yoshio thinks of picking a miracle. Last time, he stumbled across the log of all the villagers' conversations that he had missed. Reading them feels like an invasion of privacy, so he doesn't want to dig too deep. Though that moment taught him something important, it is the best way to find what they want from him. So, this time, he takes a closer look. He sees the chat log of an earlier conversation today when he was out, when Lyra, Carol, and Chem are chatting, thanking the gods for good weather, and with some luck, the monster may grant them a wide berth. Lyra says, with this weather, the clothes will dry up in no time. Chem says they are fortunate enough to have a river nearby. Lyra mentions that she wants to take a bath at the river, and Chem mentions that she's due for a bath as well, but wonders what will happen if a monster catches her naked, not to mention the man folk. Lyra jokes, if they even want to see them, so let them be. Carol even says that she has no issue if Brother Gam sees her. Oh man, Carol is dropping a bomb on Chem. Let's see if she survives this conversation. Chem exclaims all of a sudden, absolutely not, reacting strongly to her. She says her brother is calmer, more collected, and more reasonable than most, but still a man all the same. Yoshio, witnessing this conversation, doubts that it's Lyra and Carol's dignity that Chem is worried about, and sees that the brother complex runs deep. Maybe this game is taking place in Alabama. Later in another conversation, Lyra pops up with a question. What brought that horde to their village in the first place? This sparks Yoshio's curiosity about that incident. Chem reflects that their village wasn't small, and the stone walls around it were certainly sturdy. If anything, their town had a better chance of survival than most towns. Their town has no shortage of hunters like her brothers, and yet it was to no avail. Carol quietly wonders if the folks next door are okay. Yoshio wonders what has happened. After he dug deeper into their conversation logs and got some more information, he realized that these 5 villagers once lived in a large village, home to hundreds. When the monsters appeared, they tried to fight back, but were forced to flee. Several wagons managed to escape at first, but the 5 he's now watching got separated from the group. The forest helped. Most monsters lost track of them there, but their wagon was badly damaged, leaving them stranded. So that's their backstory, Yoshio thinks. He remembers the reunite with escaped villagers miracle. Now he gets what it means, guessing it might be a sign that the villagers might reunite with the others one day. Yoshio says to hang in there. He will get the villagers to their friends someday. Suddenly, Yoshio is called by his mom for dinner. At the dinner table, Yoshio is a bit surprised to see his dad, as he's home earlier than usual. Yoshio only sees his dad face to face a few times in a month since he dropped out of his life, and Yoshio's dad usually only asks him, "How are you?" That's it. Yoshio glances down at his plate. He remembers the big fight he had with his dad. Since then, this is how things have been, though his dad is nice enough. He gets the feeling that he sees him as a stranger. Yoshio's dad asks about Tsuyuki since she is not home, as she might be working overtime again, like always. Yoshio's sister Tsuyuki is a bit younger than him, but already building a solid career. She loves her job doing exactly what she wants. She doesn't mind working overtime. Yoshio's mom starts talking about her day. She says Okiku gave some of her pickled vegetables, and asks Yoshio's dad if he wants some. She talks about meeting Okiku in the park and helping her carry groceries. Yoshio thinks that her stories always lean a bit one-sided. Yoshio knows Okiku very well. She's an old woman who lives in a neighborhood in a big, ancient, traditional house. He remembers, when he was a kid, he and his friends used to go there to play. She always had sweets ready for them. Their house is nowhere near as big as Okiku's, but still pretty big and has a lawn and everything. He says to himself that there is space for a freeloading loser like him. Yoshio, in his heart, is thankful to his dad that he works hard and paying for the house. Yoshio completes his food and compliments his mom for the food, as it tastes just as good as always. His mom asks why he didn't bring the pudding he bought. His mom asks his dad if he wants some, and he responds willingly that he wants to have some. Later, Yoshio is back at his computer. Yoshio notices Gam sitting alone by the fire on lookout duty again. He's like a rock, a solid guy. The strong, silent type of man reminds Yoshio a bit of his own dad. Yoshio observed that Rodis's family isn't built for combat, but Chem may be able to cast some healing spells. But Gam's is the only one who can protect them all. Yoshio leans back slightly, thinking that he and the villagers are relying too much on Gam's. He is doing so much alone. They could use more manpower, and he can always spend some fate points to spawn some more people, although it takes a lot of fate points to do it. But there is a cheaper option called random. It's a huge gamble. He could get lucky or summon something dangerous, like bloodthirsty brigands. Additionally, he can't afford to get hooked on some gacha scheme, so staying away from the random is the smart play. He still wants a familiar too, but he prefers saving his fate points for a real emergency. Watching the screen, Yoshio frustrated says that it's just a game, why is it so hard? He continued saying that it can wait until tomorrow, and he was already pretty beat after his big day out. Yoshio says goodnight to Gams, and when he is about to hit the hay, suddenly a notification pops up. He stares at the screen again, confused. Back in the game, Gams wakes everyone, and Chem asks what's going on. Gams mentions that monsters are on the way, he can feel them. He orders Chem to keep everyone safe, warning them not to come out of the cart. Rodius tells Lyra and Carol to go back in the cart and stay down. A worried Carol asks if Brother Gams is going to be okay. Jams with confidence, ensuring the others that he'll handle it. Chem requested that Gams let her come with him. Gams tells her no, as she is the only one who can cast healing magic, giving her the responsibility to take care of the Rodius family. Back in reality, Yoshio is watching them closely and instinctively tells Gams to look out, as it's too dark to see any monsters there. 2 black wolves approach, growling low. Yoshio checks on the wolf description. 2 once normal wild dogs, now larger and stronger, possess sharp claws and venomous fangs. Yoshio knows Gams is strong, but 2 at once might be too much. Yoshio's tension rises. He tightens his grip on the mouse. He starts saying he believes in Gams until he remembers he is the god of this world. He says, time for a miracle. Before he can do anything else, the fight starts. Gams then clashes with the wolves, dodging 1 bite and countering with a hard slash. Yoshio is surprised by Gams's skills as he gets rid of the wolves. Chem, coming out from the wagon, asks if he's okay. Gams replied that he's sorry and that she need to take care of them. Then he collapses. Chem screams, brother. A surprised Yoshio grabs the computer screen without thinking, gripping it tightly, wondering why, since Gams won the fight. On the screen, Gams was being held by his sister, and the villagers rushed out to help. Get up, Gams. Get up, Yoshio whispered.
Thanks for watching, and thanks to all of the supporters that made this video possible. If you would like to help the channel, please use the QR code in the screen. And last but not least, a super thanks to our high-ranking supporters. Arizona Gold, 1090, Fallen Stella, Joel Alvarado, Julian Hernandez, Kildrak, Hitsuka, Lucifer High-Rise, Not Omega's Foot Fungus, Pawe Jajeski, and NATO Enthusiast. Thanks and have a nice day.